can do, I can postpone it or can reschedule it on Monday or next Monday. We have next
Ma'am.
class next week. When do we have next week first class? Thursday?
Thursday, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be fine?
Ma'am, Saturday, this coming Saturday.
Okay, so
No,
you
ma'am.
okay, let's
Next
let's
week.
do the vote. Let's do the vote. Okay, so I don't mind. I'm just ready to give it to you tomorrow, right? So this is an extra work I need to do. Anyways, how many of you want to do on Monday? Oh, sorry, on Thursday, next Thursday. Put up your hand. Okay, 6 people want to do on Thursday. We cannot just do it for individual persons, you know. Um, well, if whole class would say we want to do on Thursday, then I would do on Thursday. Otherwise, this week. Well, this is not even the half of the class. Well, lesson plan, that's a tentative lesson plan. That's my job, how to manage it, right? Well, 16 people want to do it on next week. In rest of the class want to do this week. Okay, we'll do it this week then. Okay, because 16 people is not the whole class. Yes. So what is concluded then? Saturday, everybody is ready for Saturday. It seems like that, right?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Okay,
getting
ma'am. On Saturday.
Saturday is good for everyone. But
Yes, ma'am.
because when I voted for Thursday, next Thursday, I got like less than half of the class into it, right? For next Thursday, I got less than half of the class. So it means most of you are ready for this week. That is good. That is good. Okay. Okay, I'll go according to your request. Thursday. Sorry, it's Saturday, right? Okay. So all set. Saturday, coming Saturday. Sounds good?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, ma'am, tomorrow.
Okay, let's come back to our topic, what we had been discussing yesterday week. Um, one second. So we were talking about how to assemble and disassemble the computers, and we discuss different uh, steps we need to be followed in order to assemble the computer and in order to upgrade the computer. Uh, so we also consider and discuss the firmware uefi setting, right? So the uefi is the place, or BIOS is the place which will confirm your hardware setting, right? And just in case if you did not install some of the hardware properly, so that will be reported or not reported inside the uefi, right? Well, I cannot provide you. I'm sorry, I cannot provide you the recording. So if you need any additional help, you can send me an email or you can post it on discussion forum. Yes, the reference has been provided. That is from your textbook. Well, you don't need to send me an email 10 times. I have told you, just I don't provide recording. Yes. Well, it is really difficult to address individual request, right? So please try to focus what we need to discuss in instead of just thinking about here and there. What you have missed, try to compensate it. That's your responsibility, right? I have mentioned earlier in this class. Uh, yes, you can refer it from you can refer it from your textbook. Yes. Okay, so hold this question. I'll come back to this question once I finish this topic. Okay, so maybe it is addressed during this session or this explanation, or I'll give you the additional information on it. Don't worry. So we talk about uefi and BIOS security settings. So there is a password setting, drive encryption, LoJack, trusted platform modules. So those are the configuration which you can do inside the BIOS or uefi, right? So remember the uefi is a unified extensible firmware interface. So you can enter by using the key combination suggested by your vendor, your computer manufacturer, or single key. Most often is a single key to enter the BIOS setting. So BIOS has the legacy BIOS, which basically also help you to do some functionality. In terms of we talk about the bootable sequence, the boot sequence, right? So you can manage also boot sequence from your BIOS setting. So the priority of the boot sequence is basically decide which device must be checked to find out the operating system or boot files, right? So it would be by default, it is hard disk, but just in case if you're troubleshooting your system, then you may need to go to the alternate device to boot your system, for instance, CD drive or DVD or any external device to boot your system so you can look inside and troubleshoot the problem. Or it could be a network drive, right? So this sequence is important. So if you want to boot from CD, then you have to change this sequence from your boot from your BIOS. So secure boot means secure boot is the uefi security standard that ensures that a computer only boots on an operating system that is trusted by a manufacturer. So I think I explained how to update the firmware. You have to go to the manufacturer website and check their for the latest version of the BIOS, but it is not recommended to do it frequently until and unless there is a problem. You install a new device, for instance, memory you upgraded, but it is not detectable by your system and it's giving you the same amount of the memory what you had it before. It means either the memory is not properly installed or not compatible with your motherboard or existing memory modules, or there could be the reason that your if you have checked all those things, it looks fine, but it still is not detectable. It means you have to check the BIOS version then, right? Maybe your BIOS need to be upgraded. So you this process is called flashing the BIOS. Flashing the BIOS means you download the BIOS from the manufacturer website and follow the recommended procedures. So BIOS is nowadays the BIOS we use that this is that a kind of E square PROM which can be rewritten or by the user at their site. So some electrical features and safety features we addressed earlier. Um, like electrostatic ESD discharge, how do we protect our system and ourselves from any ESD discharge we built up on an electronic charges resting on the surface at about 30 volts of a static electrical charge can damage a computer component. So the solution was given to you ESD straps, so you can should be wearing the ESD straps, using ESD mats in ESD bags to place your dismantle or disassemble components. Don't just put your dismantle or disassembles devices or components out of your computer case on the table, a rough surface. It should be placed inside the ESD bag in order to save it from any discharge. Another kind of protections you have to consider against electromagnetic interference or EMI. So intrusion of outside electromagnetic signal in a transmission media such as copper cable, right? So copper electromagnetic radiations is all over. We are surrounded, we are living in the sea of electromagnetic, we are basically diving inside the sea of electromagnetic interference because of the cell phones, because of so many wireless signals is surrounding us, right? So those electromagnetic signal sources can also damage your systems, can distort the signal, can degrade the computer communication. So the other sources of EMI are the motors, power line, electrical storms, and any other electromagnetic energy. So radio frequency interference, RFI, wireless networks are affected by RFI. So RFI is caused by the radio transmitters transmitting in the same frequency. So this is, you can see this is the RFI signals, right? So they are intruding with the original signal and may disrupt your system performance. Those parameters we already addressed, and the power supply, remember, has an option of 220 and 330 volts. Uh, it's 220, 115. Sorry, it has an option, two options. One is 110 and another is 220. So this is for if you are in North America, so you have to pick this 110/115 volts supply input, because here we use 110 volts as in power out, AC power. So some uh 1 second. Let me get to one more topic. Uh, yes. So let me give you some advanced feature of the CPU. Advanced features risk. I give you some definition, kind of reduce instruction sets computer and complex instruction set computer. Six. Those are the two kind of architecture the CPU follows. CPU basically executing one step of the program, and the remaining instructions in the data are stored nearby in a special high-speed memory called cache. So one step of program CPU is executing, right? So where is the next instruction? Where should it go for the next instruction? It will go to CPU cache. It's a nearby memory. Remember that L1 cache, L2 cache we talked about earlier in this discussion. Is a kind of revision what we have addressed under the CPU hardware. Uh, you can CPU has an enhanced operation, and how does it enhance its operation? Like inside the Intel processor, they use hyper-threading to enhance the performance of some of their CPUs. Hyper-threading or multi pieces of the code threads. Threads means codes, different pieces of instructions, right? So they are treated inside the system as threads. They are executed simultaneously. Say, for instance, this is the one piece of task, right? Task one has multiple pieces, right? A, B, C, D, and then task B or task two has multiple set of instructions, A, B, C, D, or something like that. So, what is the hyperthreading? Hyperthreading take different parts, different threads from one task and another task and another task, and run them simultaneously, right? So this is how we say that it's executing multiple instructions, right? Are you getting this point? So hyperthreading means executing multiple pieces of codes simultaneously in the CPU. It increases the CPU performance. So in this is what we had in Intel kind of processor. In AMD processor that uses hyper transport to enhance the CPU performance. So hyper transport is a high speed connection between CPU and the North Bridge chip. The power of the CPU is measured by the speed and the amount of the data that can be processed. So the amount of the data, remember we addressed about the clock and clock speed, right? So clock is nothing but which synchronize the operations. How many instructions is executing in one tick of clock, right? So one tick of clock, you can think of one cycle, right? One cycle of your clock pulses. So the amount of the data that a CPU can process at one time depends on the size of front side bus or FSB, front size bus. What is the bus size? Remember, I have mentioned you the buses is nothing but the group of conduction paths printed on CPU boards, right? So this bus size is variable, like 64-bit. One single line conduction path carry 1 bit of information, right? 1 bit per single path, single conduction path. So if I would say there's a 64-bit wider bus, it means it can carry 64-bit of information. And the CPU size capacity also, we nowadays we have two type of the systems available in market. One is 64-bit processor, right? 64-bit processor, and another is 32-bit processor. It means what is the size of the data bus or front side bus? So it can carry 64-bit at a time, and processor can memory can save 64-bit of time or bit of data, and can a processor can manipulate the 64-bit of data at a time. This is what we define the processor speed and the performance. So there is overclocking we talk about. Do you remember overclocking? So there's a, if you go to the uefi, and there's an option to enable disable overclocking parameter, right? So overclocking is basically adapted by the game lovers, and they want to they play uh, uh, enhanced videos, and it requires sometimes more a faster operation of CPU. So manufacturer had given an option to operate the CPU from its standard speed of the like if it has a 1.5 gigahertz, right? So the processor speed. So you can make it like increase 1/4 gigahertz, right? So this is what we call overclocking, but it will overheat the system. It overwhelms the system. It's not recommended by the manufacturer to overclock the system. It may cause problems, like may damage the system performance at the end. So CPU throttling is the opposite of overclocking. CPU throttling is a technique used when the processor run at a less than rated speed to conserve power or produce less heat. You know, faster the processor run, more heat will be generated, right? But in opposite, the slower the processor is running, then less heat would be generated, but it will cause also slower down the rest of the functionality of the processor. Another thing which you can control and configure through BIOS and uefi setting is CPU virtualization. As many of you already using a virtualized environment in different courses, so you are aware of how to enable and disable virtualization inside the BIOS setting. So if you didn't, if the virtualization is disabled there, even you install your virtualization software, but you won't be able to virtualize your computer because you haven't set up that bit inside the CPU. So with CPU virtualization, multiple operating system can run in parallel on their own virtual machine as if they were running on the completely independent computer. So that is the main thought behind the virtualization. And both AMD and Intel allows you to do that virtualization. One more thing I would like to address at this point, a multi-core processor. Multi-core processor have two or more processor on the same integrated circuit. So integrating the processor on the same chip creates a very fast connection between them. So one chip is there, right? So apparently it looks like one chip, one processor, but they have multiple core which are integrated in single CPU, right? So multiple core means multiple CPU were integrated. One core is one CPU, right? So they are integrated together in one package, right? So, and basically it enhanced the speed and functionality of overall system. Multi-core processor have two or more processors. Like you might check in your system now or later whether you have a dual core processor, for instance, quad core processor, all right, or hexa-core processor. What does those means that? What do you think? If you have an hexa-core, so it means there are 6 core processors are integrated to give you the functionality of 6 processor in one package, right? So multi-core processor execute the instruction more quickly than a single core processor. So just like a one person is doing a job, right? One person is doing a job and one task. For instance, if I would say you had an assignment to do, right? For let me take that example. So you think, hey, this is a big job, right? I may require one day or something like that, or 2 hours to finish it. So what if you divide the task to two different frames? You're gonna do this part, I'm gonna do this part, and you're gonna do this part, right? So the task, you three people's three brains are working basically together, right? Am I right? So instead of single brain working on one assignment, three brains are working together on one task or one assignment. So what do you think? What is the result? Well, you're gonna get your job done more quickly, right? Correct? Right? Do you do them like that? How many of you adapt this technique? All of you, right? Correct? Say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
You do that, right? So, hey, I got an assignment. What we gonna do? Okay, you do some part. I'm gonna do part, second part, and third part. But we're not gonna say to our teacher, right? We did like this. That's another thing, right? So, huh? No, nobody does it like this. Really? Sorry, say.
Ethics.
Okay, I appreciate. So, okay, some people are laughing. I can just just fall. So, okay, your thoughts are good, right? So, your thoughts are you're working on idealism, and that's very good. You know, we work to get some ideal results. That's important. So what we get out of it, that's another thing, you know. So your task, any task, if it is assignment or reading or something like preparation for test, okay, but don't do it for the test. You're gonna prepare for half of the test, and I'm gonna prepare for next half, right? And then we will work together in the test. Does anybody has a plan like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Just put up your hand if you have a plan like this. Let me see how many of you had plan like this. No one? Really? I'm surprised. Okay. All right.
Especially just Pal.
Do
Yeah,
you-
yes, exactly.
Oh,
Pass pro number नहीं देते ने.
oh, really? Okay.
Pal is a really good student, ma'am.
Sorry? Sorry? Say it again.
और टाल दे number नहीं देने
Okay.
ने.
So the thing is, if even you plan like this, you were not allowed to do it in an exam. I'm telling you, right? Some people's, my experience is basically conclude me and told me that this kind of situation might happen in exam. So I'm just giving you an ahead of warning. If you had a plan like this, so you might not be able to implement in the test. Okay, because test environment would not allow you to do the half core multi-core processing, right? So you need to take the whole responsibility of the doing test, single brain, single processing kind of things. But inside the machine, we have multi-core setup means um that's basically divide the task among the cores, right? So among the different cores and results in will make the things faster and increase the performance of the system, right? So just an idea, and then third, in the purpose of giving you that example is that is not really feasible, right? Just in case if anyone had a plan like, so it's not going to be feasible because I have some checks inside my assignment, right? So if I found someone did not um, uh, meet that check, so they're gonna get a straight zero. Okay, anyway, so individual, and when we say individual activity, it means has to be done by one person. Multi-core processor question, if you have it on it. So cooling mechanism, I think we address. If you need any revision on it, you can ask me. Uh, Another thing I want to tell you. Um, So let me give you the start. And as the Jaspal have mentioned, that I would be responsible if someone is cheating inside the test. So let me give you the solution as Jaspal is suggesting. So you would be having 60 questions, and I'll give you 1 minute for each question, not more than 1 minute. 60 questions, 60 minutes. Okay. So this is how we can check if someone is trying to get help from other friends. They won't have enough time to get it help. Okay. Do you agree, Jaspal, now? So 60 questions, multiple choice. In idealism, we are following, right? So 1 minute, just in case if I give you any calculation, like binary conversion or number system we addressed in one topic prior to this computer hardware, then I would give you 2 minutes for calculation question, right? Otherwise, if, for instance, if I give you 5 questions, multiple choice for your number system, for instance, 5 to 10. It could be 5 to 10. I'm not exactly sure at this point how many it would be. Number calculation or number conversion, right? So I would give you 2 minutes for those questions, right? For the rest of the questions, like your article, there would be 1 minute per question. And to avoid just multi-brain processing of test. Is that correct? Good. Okay, I'll be right back in 1 minute, okay?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So another thing, you have an idea about the rate. RAID is basically redundant array of independent disk technology. So RAID provides a way to store data across multiple storage devices for availability, reliability, capacity, and redundancy in order performance improvement. So we can have like one when normally in general purpose computers, we have one hard drive, right? And one hard drive inside, or you may have two hard drive inside the computer, right? One hard drive one and hard drive two. That's the maximum we have in general purpose computers if they are not designed for some data centers or backing up the data. So they normally carry one or two hard drive, correct? Um, can you hear me, right? Right. Um, when we have to have a huge storage or backing up our data, we use the RAID system. RAID is basically a redundant array of independent disks where we combine multiple disks to work together as a single disk or multiple disks. So we have different setting like striping, mirroring, parity, double parity. So those are basically tells those techniques basically describe how RAID stores data on various disks. Striping basically enables data to be distributed across multiple drive with significant performance. increase in if what if there is a failure of uh, failures on one hard drive, then whole data is going to be lost, right? So because of this striping, basically, there's an like if you have an three hard drive striping, right? Configured to work as an in stripe mode, then some of the data, one piece of file, for instance, right? One piece of file, that's how it's going to be stored on this hard drive. So it basically distribute this information among striped hard drive. Are you getting this point, right? Um, no? Say yes or no. I didn't get any response. Hello?
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you following this point, right? So striping
Yes, ma'am.
means if I have a multiple hard drive, right? So then I have a one piece of information or data. So how it's going to be striped? Striped means some of the information is stored here, and some will go to another hard drive, and would go to the third hard drive. How many we had it in the stripe configuration? So this basically distributes the data among multiple hard drive. If any one of the hard drive fail among this striving configuration, then whole data gonna be lost because it has in some chunk of information or maybe half of the information, then we cannot retrieve the data. So another kind of RAID configuration is mirroring, which basically stores duplicate data on one or more other drives and provide redundancy so that the failure of the drive does not cause the loss of the data. So if I have one or two or three drives which are configured in mirroring rate setting, then what the second hard drive will do, so all the information, your information is in hard drive one, right? So, but it will mirror the information to second hard drive, right? So it means the backup the information to the second hard drive, just in case the failure of hard drive one would not make any loss of the data, right? Will not lose, you won't lose any data if any one of the hard drive among this mirroring setup um, is failed or stopped working. Parity basically provide basic error checking and fault tolerance by storing checksums separately from the data and enables the reconstruction of the lost data without sacrificing the speed and the capacity. Double parity provides the fault tolerance for up to two failed drives. Here is some RAID levels. RAID has levels, like those configurations have defined under some levels, like levels 0, 1, and 5, 6, and 10. Several levels of RAID are available, and these levels use mirroring, striping, stripping, and parity in different ways. So higher level of RAID, such as RAID 5 and 6, are used for stripping and the parity in combination to provide the speed and create large amount of the volume. So how many hard drives are required for RAID 0? Stripping, performance, and capacity, all those things what I have explained in previous slide. So mirroring just requires minimum two hard drive, right? So in order to mirror information, you at least have two hard drive, which can, so hard drive two can mirror the information of mirror is just like in duplication information, or just like in backup of the information. So if hard drive one would fail, then hard drive two will take its place, right, or its role. Okay, question if you have. Um, so those are the ports which I think I had given you a thought earlier. So just a little bit more information how they looks like a serial port, uh, serial devices, printers, scanners, modem, console connection to network devices, parallel for connecting various parallel devices. Well, we have printer as a parallel device, right? So game ports or gaming devices like you connect the joystick input, um, audio and PS2 VGA. Let me give you a little bit more thought on graphic ports. The older kind, you familiar with this? What is the name of this port? Have you seen this port? At the back of the desktop computer, if you have desktop computer, those are available in
Used to
desktop.
connect the computer.
To monitors, yes, you use it to connect the monitor, and that's an old style
Print.
analog port, and use old as the graphical port. It still is in use in some PC. Yes. You have an input for us? Yes. So how about this one, DVI port? So it provides support for transmitting uncompressed digital video, include DVI-A, DVI-D, and DVI-I. So A for analog. If this is a kind of DVI-D, it's in digital. DVI-I is an integrated. The shape is a little different from DVI-A to D and I. So their shape is just shows well defined. It looks at if it is in for integrated means it has both the digital and analog DVI, which is available in newer systems. If it is in DVI-D kind, then only the digital one is available. No analog input is acceptable. And not going to be take the analog video. But if it is in DVI-A, then it takes only analog. Well, it does not provide an audio input, will not take an audio input, it's only accept the VG input. So HDMI port, you can find it in your laptop computer as well. So it's originally developed for high definition televisions, and it carries the same video information as the DVI, but also capable of providing digital audio and control. So DVI and HDMI, so might be you're using HDMI to connect your TV, smart TV to the computer, right? So you have some interesting video your friend have emailed you or you receive from internet. So you want to watch it on your big screen TV, right? So you can connect it through the HDMI connector. Um, yes, yeah, that is high definition multimedia. Yes, yes, that's a pretty good thought, Bhavesh. Yes, it's um, a display port basically. HDMI, the main difference between DVI and HDMI is, and the main difference, it's allow the audio signals, digital audio, where we don't have any audio input availability in DVI kind. So display port is basically the new latest one in our systems, right? So you can see here, looks like it's different from HDMI, right? So DisplayPort basically designed to replace both DVI and VGAs and for computer monitor while including both the digital high quality video and audio signal. Question if you have it on this up to here. Yes, no question.
No, ma'am.
All right, so things are clear so far. So
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
okay. USB type, we have USB 2, USB uh, 3. Well, those are the different versions, basically, depending on the speed, the serial port speed, right? So they come up with the different uh, speed in megahertz. So one more thing I want to tell you. SATA cable, I think I explained you earlier pretty well. SCSI kind of connectors, and let me share. I think the share was disconnected. This one, SATA cables we talk about inside the system to connect hard drive or any optical drive, right? So we use the SATA connectors. This is a ribbon cable and ID kind. So you see this one is this is a 40 pin connector, 60 pin connectors. This is 60 pin ribbon. Is wider, more compact, wider. A 60 bit means so those are the 60 conduction paths, right? So those are compact conduction paths. So used to connect your hard drive or any other ID device. 40 pin, 40 is an older one, right? So 40 pin connectors, it also come up with 40 pin connection and 60 pin connection. They have a marking here. I think I mentioned earlier. So you see the red line, right? So this red line is basically on one side. So you should be aligned with the pin 1 of your hard drive connection. So this is an SCSI cable, a small computer interconnection, a small computer system interface. So it is used to, it has 50 pins, right? So you see here, sometimes we have in between one more connection available, just in case if we have multiple devices or multiple hard drive to be connected. So we can use the same ribbon cable to connect to multiple hard drive or multiple devices. Screen monitor resolution. Uh, those are the parameters you need to consider in a monitor characteristic like screen size, resolution, monitor resolution. Some other resolution terminologies like native resolution, native mode. Well, resolution, have you ever heard the term resolution before? Have you
Yes,
ever
ma'am.
Okay, have you ever set up the resolution for your computer? Have you ever
Yes,
changed the
ma'am.
resolution?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, good. So this is what we define in terms of rows and columns, right? Horizontal and vertical rows and columns. So this is basically the number of pixels. Pixels are just one bit of information, right? So one bit of information, video information. So how many pixel we have? So more compact this pixel is, greater the number of pixels, more compact your video would be, and more clear the output of video outputs. So resolution basically measured by the number of horizontal in vertical pixels. For example, 1920 by 1080, or sometimes it is also referred as 1080p, means that it has 1920 horizontal pixels and 1080 vertical pixels. This is another way to write down the same configuration, right? So we write down in terms of horizontal pixels. then vertical pixels are by default 192. So you can change the resolution of your screen by getting into the monitor screen, by getting into the display property, and you can see there, this is my recommended 1920 by 1080. So, but I have like an older system, very old VGA card up systems, 1000 by 768. So if you change the resolution, it becomes, it appears like this. Okay, uh, so you whatever this pixels are and you like, you can set it up there, and you know Windows has an option to change the pixel setting. Uh, hmm. So connectivity, which monitor you're using, which port you're using to connect your VGA card. Screen size is basically like in diagonal measurement of the screen. Pixel itself, if you need a formal definition, what's the pixel itself? It's a tiny dot, one dot on this dot. You see the dot on my screen, right? This is what we call pixel. And this pixel has an information, a bit of information, displaying the red, green, and blue, right? So several pixels are combined to give you some pictures, video quality, right? So how compact those one number of pixels are. So the image quality is going to be very better and better. Some aspect ratio, basically, let me give you a few more terminologies like aspect ratios and uh, contrast ratio and brightness basically is a luminescence of a monitor measured in candelas per square meter. Candelas is the intensity, light intensity unit, CD per meter square. So how brighter your picture would be, it is defined in candelas per meter square. Uh, aspect ratio is basically the horizontal to vertical measurement of viewing area of monitor. So screen need to be refreshed, and that's a refresh rate, which defines how often your image is refreshed or screen is refreshed. So amount of the seconds per image to be rebuilt then is measured in hertz. Display standard, we have CGA was an very old kind of system. Like I remember it was being used like about maybe 25 years back, right? So CGA kind color graphic adapter, very low resolution, 320 by 200. VGAs and video graphic array and 640 by. You will see the different as we are in the different standard we have. Those are the trends, the latest, how the VGA standard was evolved from pretty old, like 25 years back to the latest one we have. So number of resolutions, you will see the resolutions is changed, increased resolutions. So FHD, full high definition, but my system has this one, right? I'm using 1920 by 1280 resolution or 1080p. This is a standard way to define this resolution. UHD kind of your screen smart TV, and those are ultra high definition standard monitor, and they have a resolution is 3840 by 2060, or another way they define it in 4K, right? Those are 4K TV. Might be when purchasing in a smart TV, they have mentioned it like, and if it's a kind of 4K TV or 2K or so, this is basically defines the resolution of your TV sets. Okay, multiple monitor you can use inside. That's also an option available. Like, have you used multiple monitor in your system? Have you ever used like you can connect it to
No,
this?
ma'am.
Well, that's simple. You can just go to again your system this display setting. In under the display setting, you would see uh, multiple monitor option, right? So right now my second monitor is off, but if I turn it on, it's gonna detect, and you can even connect your smart TV, right? So if you have a smart TV or another monitor available, which can be connected with the adapter wire or wirelessly. So it gives you the options. How would you like to connect it wirelessly or via cable? So this is display one configuration. And if you have connected second monitor, then it will list it here. It will appear in this list, right? Question? That's all about computer configuration. Let me see one more thing if I can tell you quickly. Uh, well, you're going to upgrade your system, for instance. Okay, so for instance, if you're configuring your computer for an upgrade, motherboard upgrade, so the steps you have to follow the particular steps, right? So, for instance, you're upgrading a motherboard, then you have to first follow the step number one, record how the power supply, case, fan, all those buttons are organized, right? So maybe you note it down in the piece of paper or in your notebook, or you may have taken a picture of it, right? So to remember how it was initially set up. And then you can disconnect the cables from the old motherboard and then disconnect and remove the expansion cards from the case, and then record how the old motherboard is secured to the case and remove the old. And then the step number 5 would be removing the motherboard from the case, right? Well, it's simple, but the first you have to make a note of it. What is the present configuration and setting on your system motherboard? And then you disconnect all the cables. Remember how the cables are connected, which cables is connected to where, the power supply cable, the data cables, that's IDE cables or SATA, whatever cables you have inside the system. So make a note of it on the in your notebook. Well, make a habit of noting down the information. Well, nobody can remember everything all the time, you know. So it is always recommended to note down your current configuration if you're upgrading, and then disconnect cables, disconnect any expansion cards, and then see how the motherboard is residing on the case. Have some plastic or metallic stands off, so have them removed, and then identify where all of the connectors such as power, SATA, fan, USB, all those connectors are connected. So you have to check the headers, the different headers, so you can plug them back in their original place when you finish the upgrade of the motherboard. And then replace the old IO shield with the new IO shield. Insert insert and secure the motherboard into the case, and then connect the power supply, case fans, and case LED in front panel and any other required cables. And after the new motherboard is in the place and the cables are connected, then install and secure the expansion cards. So you install, you place them back. What expansion cards you have it earlier? Once you have replaced your main CPU, if you are changing your CPU, for instance, for the motherboard expansion or any other main device you're changing it. So remember how to place the CPU inside the sockets, in the different kind of sockets. Um, I think those things I already explained. So if you need to upgrade your storage device for any reason, many reason could be maybe out of space, maybe it's not working, right? So maybe you need a second drive for backup, or you working with a RAID array, then you have to have a new hard drive inside your system. So steps you need to follow, simple 3 steps to upgrade the storage devices. Place the hard drive in an empty bay. You remember there are different bay slots are available inside the case. Normally we use the first bay for our CD drive, and second available bay is nothing but an empty slot where you can insert in your hard drive, and then you connect the hard drive to the motherboard using the correct cable if it is a kind of SATA drive or ID kind. So check the cables and have them connected to the motherboard and to the device, and then attach the power cables to the drive as well. So those drives require some power, so you have to just, so there is a specific power connector, the bridge connector or Molex kind of connectors. So you connect it to the hard drive, so it's all set then. Okay. Uh, Upgrading peripheral device is not that complicated. You just plug and play the any mouse and keyboard you want to replace. Upgrading your power supply, you can maybe your system, you change your motherboard which requires more power supply, for instance, right? More power wattage. So for instance, then you have to check or calculate the power consumption, right? And search the power supply wattage calculator on internet, and then find out the new power supply which is suitable for your new CPU or upgraded motherboard, and then you can just remove all the cables and plug in the power supply in the power supply bay you have, and that's all you can replace and upgrade the hardware. Now let me go over to the assignment. uh, I got some question related to the assignment earlier. uh, okay, so you refer the document for the assignment. Yes, what was the question? Sorry, can you repeat? One of you have raised a question earlier. So basically, you're referring this CPU to answer certain questions. Look at the different.
Fifth one, ma'am.
Huh?
Regarding the
Fifth question.
PCI board on question 2.
Number 2. Eight and 9 you cannot identify here. On this motherboard, right? Okay.
Ma'am, it
doesn't.
also shows no PCI port in its manual.
Okay, there's no PCI, then that's fine. Not applicable, you can write down. If something is you didn't find, right? So, but you can, let me make it bigger. This is a PCI one, right?
Ma'am,
PCI
it's PCI X1.
X1, yes. PCI EX1, X1.
Yes,
And
ma'am, but it's for the ninth number question. Ninth number is
what do you
PCI
mean ninth
EX1.
question? Let me just get to there. Oh, okay. The number parts. You check the manual for this one, right? So you can download the manual for this from this for this motherboard. Well, I think I just have mentioned, just while you're not paying attention to me, right?
Not
I,
applicable.
so you need more information, so check it out. It's motherboard manual. Vendor, this is Maximus version 7 Hero. That's a gaming motherboard. It has that's an older one version. It has an advanced version now, newer version, but that's pretty good motherboard to work out. So I think the rest of the things. Is there anything else is missing on this motherboard? You found them, right? So clear RTC, all those things. Okay. What was the next question? So did you download this Specie? Specie is a free software. You see,
Yes.
yeah, you can check it the link. I
Ma'am,
had given
how many screenshots do we
here.
have to
This
provide
is
for question one?
Control Alt. If you hover over the mouse, it provide you the link, right? So you can click on it, Control and mouse button, right? And then you can download cookie kind of things. Don't try to eat. And then just download, install, follow instruction. A simple 3 steps. Use this one. You don't have to pay any money. Just download for free version. Once you download and install, have you done it? This step? It's,
Yes, ma'am.
just
Yes, ma'am.
very good. So what I want you to give me your system information. Take this screenshot. I think I mentioned it, how to take a screenshot. So go to the CPU, take the screenshot of it. Storage, memory information, take the screenshot of it. So you can use the snipping tools and, on this one, this must be matching to each other, right? So otherwise, you may lose your marks, right? So,
Ma'am, when we run ms32.info,
hmm, just
we
one second.
cannot find another tab for motherboard. It just only shows its name.
Okay, 1 second.
Ma'am, ms32.
So this one, hardware resources, right? So you go to what you're looking for. For instance, this is the main system description, right? You can run it even from your system, a command line utility. If you go to CMD, I will take this one, and it tells you all configuration, what type of system you have, and hardware resources. Memory, you can tell me the memory screenshot, or yeah, that is your point. Okay. Mm, just try to grab one or two match. If you give me this screenshot, would be fine. And if it comparable with the one you had it taken from your SPSE screen, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Optical drive storage. I think this information is in an MS info as well. No. So if you go to MS info, so this also have this information. Optical drive, CD. I don't have CD drive. USB
But ma'am,
console.
MS Info doesn't have info regarding the motherboard. It just shows only its name.
System. This has everything for motherboard. This one. It has in mother system information. If you read it carefully, you will see that information is there on this page. Processor type, and
It only says baseboard manufacturer and baseboard version.
this is the product, and you will see this number is matched with your SPSE information. They're going to be matched. If you check it with the CPU, you find that's the version sure is going. You will see that and the number, the version code in version code here is they're gonna give you the same information. Well, there's the different tools. One is the built-in and one is the third party. And there are some other softwares and utilities. There are a variety of utilities to gather the system information. What other question? If I go to
Regarding part 2, 6, 7, and 8th question.
1 second, just 1 minute. Regarding part 2, okay. Part 1 is everybody is okay with part 1?
Yes, ma'am.
So you understand what? Okay, good. So you understand what you need to do in part 1. Very good. All you need to.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So you need to give me a tag, right? So you may draw a line here and you type in the name beside the code, or you can I would suggest you beside the draw arrow, so you can just copy this arrow to other places, and you can tell me what it is. You can resize this arrow. You know how to do that, right? So give me a clean description of this motherboard. Excuse me. Devices, what you can identify or what you cannot identify. So that's pretty straightforward. Excuse me. One second. This is just you identify the different available ports. We just have discussed them, right? So DVI-DD or VGA kind of things, right? So you're gonna tell me what it is. So identify them, draw the line, and tell me that the kind of the ports they are. If they are not in the, if they are in the list, but you think it is not there, right? You may write it down, not applicable. But if I found no, it's there, then the menu is small. So make sure if it is correct or not. And the answer you're giving me, just double check the manual, so you can check the manual. This is the same motherboard, right? Same motherboard, same it's a motherboard ports, those ports. Just this a front side, front side of the this one, right? This one front side. Okay, so what was the other question? This one? Well, this don't worry about the long list about it. You don't have to mention all the steps, right?
No, no,
So
regarding the next part 2.
okay, just let me clarify this question. If you have any concern or question about it, well, I need a bunch of steps to assemble the steps you follow to assemble your computer, right? And then you give me a heading, assemble computer. Oops. Computer, not just simple motherboard. And then maybe a little bit more and less steps you followed along based on your you found some videos and YouTube as well. Like, uh, I'll see if I can post the link for this videos. If you want me to provide this specific link for the YouTube, well, that's your choice. You can watch any of the videos which you like and feel comfortable and you think it is good enough information. The latest one. Pick a latest video, any latest, not a 10 years old and 5 years old. You know, in uh, uh, the other you can split it into the other table and saying, hey, this is the disassemble process, this is computer, right? So steps. So you give me this heading, type in a heading better, right? And then you don't have to go all the way down to 50 steps, but my point is include the precautionary steps, safety procedure, and give me the description of the steps. Don't just say connect monitor, remove monitor, or remove power supply, remove motherboard. Not just single word like this, right? I need like more precise, one or two lines describing if you're removing any of the part, for instance, motherboard. So what steps, precautions you must follow? Just one, two lines answer, just not a single word. Disassemble motherboard, remove motherboard. How? I don't know. So you're going to tell me how to do that, right? So yes, part two has a question. What it is? Part two.
Ma'am, what do we have to do in 6th, 7th, and 8th field?
Okay. You don't have to go up to the 50 steps. Not really. It's just an a list if some people need provide to can provide and like if you need more space, just in case. Um. Well, this question is to do a little research, and uh, this question.
Ma'am, it's 6th question. It's that table one.
Well, this is IT tech. You are playing in future role of IT technicians, right? So a customer IT technician deals with customers, right? Customers comes to you, a call in you, and asking for some help to fix some problem. So might be the hardware we're addressing in this part of the course hardware problems or hardware resource accessories. So it has in case that customer has in case, and that is the customer system configuration, right? So that's a type of the case it has. The case has a form factor. Um, Well, you're going to find out the internet. Copy this module from here. Give me the price, right? How much it cost.
And we have to write the cost only.
And 1 second, it's a good question. Um, well, you need to provide some compatible information, right? Some compatible devices. Yes, that is a point. So this is the configuration system he may have. I want to replace with something new. So you need to provide some compatible information. Go to any of the vendor website. For instance, you can go to check this one. Copy this module information. 1 second. Let me open few things for you. Uh, yeah, in this question, you just need to find any compatible device with matches with the given module. You understand, right? This is what
Define
you,
only single one or two, three, four.
huh?
Ma'am,
Just 1 second. This one in this question, you need to provide any other compatible module, right? This is the motherboard module. So check it out, copy and paste in Google, and see if you find some cost as well as any other compatible which matches LGA kind. We discuss all those kind of things. Anyways, so any other you give me cost on this point, but here you give me the alternate solution for the same, like for whole set of this hardware. Give me alternate here in the second table. Cooler assembly, any compatible motherboard in the second part, right? So storage device in Cisco. Let's suppose if it's not working for him, right? Now he need to replace. So you go to the website and find exact or some alternate brand and modules name in the price. How much is gonna be cost? Like cooling device, for instance, if it is not working and he need to replace the cooling device with something new. So you give me the model number and its feature and the cost. So you can try using this module first as a base information. You can copy and Google it in your Google browser and then check who is selling it for the cheaper price. Um, you know, so that's an online. Uh, so that's the Cooler Master website. So what they have other modules. So check it out. So case, full tower, and Cooler Master is a brand, right? So that's a brand. But you don't have to have the same brand. You may go for another brand. Those are the different fan assembly. So you can pick any one which you think more compatible with the given scenario, right? And give me the price for it. This is just the thing that you need to replace any one of them, right? Or all of them, right? Yeah, all of them, for instance. So what is other alternate? So find the price, find the alternate or similar information from other vendors, and list it here down, right? Under the brand and the RAM and the video adapter. Here on this page, you just give me the price for, right? How much it cost. What is the price? If you're replacing with the exact same thing, so what is the price? Or here you give me the some alternate solution. Is this what you ask? Hmm? Make sense? Hello?
No, ma'am, regarding the sixth, seventh, and eighth question only, as no instruction is written in their question.
Seventh, eighth? Which one?
Ma'am, sixth,
Seventh?
seventh, and eighth. Like you told us, first you told us to provide the cost, then matching module, then you told to find an alternative.
So here is the cost. You need to give me cost here,
We
right?
just have to give the cost only.
Yes, give me the cost. And here you give me the alternate. Search here, it says what you need to do. Search the internet, find out the alternate CPU, and give me the name and the description and the cost. On this page, there is a solution, sample solution, and you give me the cost for this, cost for this, and this. Check it out on their website. How much they are selling, they should match this description, right? So, and then you give me the cost here in sixth, seventh, exactly with this one as well. Well, you ask question when I respond to answer, please do listen. Okay, I think I said those things a bit earlier. Well, I don't mind to answer questions, you know. I encourage you to ask the question. Uh, so, but the thing is, when I'm answering, please try to focus. Uh, so here you provide the answer with the cost. This is why it is empty, right? This is why it is empty. And then you were given a sample answer here. So in this page, other side of this question, you need to give me your suggestion. What other CPU would be better for him, right? In his setup, what alternate solution you can provide him at lower price, and you give me the model pretty much same. Don't like he like to have the same configuration with some cheaper price or an alternate module. So you list your solution here. For cooling device, you list your solution here exactly the way I had given you this one. You don't need to copy and paste it, but it should be an alternate solution. You understand what I mean? Hmm? So you may go to, okay, is that clear? Akash? Who asked this
Yes,
question?
ma'am.
Did you ask this question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not remembering. Anyways, so you got your answer, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
this one is for give me the alternate solution for this one, for this one, for this one. It means you have to give me the model, the description, and the price for the customer who already have this one. Here you may check it the current price Definitely, when you are giving an alternate solution, it means you're giving it some suitable price, not more than what he already have it expensive, right? But that's why the customer come to you for some cheaper solution, right? Um, price matters, but they also need the same quality. The quality, but good quality, lower price. It's difficult. Okay, and then you can go to for this question. Check out any of the. I had given you some examples here. Well, I have nothing to do with their website, but you can go to like one of those websites and build on your computer, build your own computer. This is you just finish a customer's computer, right? He come to you or she came to you and said, hey, I have this and that, and can you replace those things for me, cpu and cooling and ram and storage or all kind of things, right? Or any one of them, for instance, or all of them. So you work it out. This is your worksheet, right? This is your worksheet. So what is the brand, what features? So make a comparison. Okay, make a comparison what he or she had it already. And this question means that you go to their, for instance, Canada computer. You checking for CPU, motherboard, for instance. Model, I haven't given you here model, but here was some restrictions because you're working with some pre-assembled customer computer, have some problem, need to be replaced some part. Uh, Here you're going to build your own computer from scratch, right? So you are the boss on this question. You decide which module and source and cost. Here, you were restricted by the customer. Okay, thank you for reminding. I'm just trying to help you with the assignment further. So you go to their website and check it out, what they have. So you pick one of your uh, process motherboard, check the price and their features. For instance, if you pick this one, this sounds like a cheaper one, Asus gaming socket in this one. That's pretty much same what you had it uh, for an example in assignment. So you give me, well, you give me the link information, this link information right here, source, right, where you're going to buy. In the description, under description, you can give me this information, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you copy and paste this information, kind of motherboard, and you copy, you copy and paste this link for me. For instance, you're saying, hey, I can buy this one from here. So you paste this link information and you may change a little bit size if you're not comfortable with. Um, and the price is a given price, how much it cost you, $259. So give me the price in dollars, Canadian dollars better, so I can estimate it, right? How much it's gonna be expensive for. So you give me the price in dollars, Canadian currency, and try to find out a vendor, like you're the international student, right? Well, you can buy it all over the world, but it costs you the shipping cost, right? It costs you more for shipping. Uh, so this part, uh, anything else? So got it done this one. And you give me the total cost, how much it should be. Well, the money, I think I had given you the restriction here. How much you have it in pocket. For instance, you were given a $1,500 to buy a new computer or build a new computer. Your boss or your whoever is the main source for you, right? So, so you need to build a new computer from scratch, but you pick the components in a way that it shouldn't be uh, out of budget. This is the budget for you to buy the new computer, right? You understand what I mean for this question? And there's some theoretical questions I think should be okay to answer. I refer your lecture notes. Okay. Anything else I can help you with? That's it.
Ma'am, last parts of the assignments that contains the error codes.
What question number?
What are those error codes for the post refer to?
Question number, please. What is the question number?
Ma'am, last question, 17th.
Postcode I haven't explained you. Really? I think I explained you the postcode. Well, it changed from one vendor to another. So it has a beep code. Some vendors give you the numbers as well, right? So those are the beep codes. 1 second. Let me go to the link. Yes, that's a good question. What is the deadline for this assignment?
No deadline, ma'am.
Hmm? This is what I said.
Yes, then.
Yes, ma'am.
So 1 week is fast now, right? So you left with half week, correct? No?
No, ma'am.
Hmm? So one, not really. Not really. I haven't given the dates. If it is given, then it would be on a D12. 1 second, let me give you the answer for this question first. Okay, we'll check it out, don't worry. Just while you are overthinking.
Yes, ma'am, you said so.
Okay, 1 second, let me answer the question someone asked me about the postcode or beep code. Beep codes,
ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ 'ਚ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਇਟ ਡਸ ਨਾਟ ਮੈਟਰ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਲਦੀ ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ
Ma'am, can we discuss this tomorrow as we have another class in next 10 minutes?
Okay, sure. No problem.
Attendance.
Excuse me, ma'am, attendance pending.
Yeah, I'm going to the page. Akashdeep,
Present, ma'am.
Amandeep Kaur, Amandeep Kaur, Amanveer Singh,
I'm present, ma'am.
Arjun,
Present, ma'am.
Arshdeep Singh,
Present, ma'am.
Gurinder Singh,
Present, ma'am.
Gurleen Kaur,
Present, ma'am.
Gurmanjot Singh,
Present, ma'am.
Harmeet Singh,
Present, ma'am.
Jispal Singh,